Good morning. So this is to tell you that we'll have to delay a second time. No, I'm just kidding. We don't. Again, now, this is the real deal. Good morning and welcome to the opening of Master in Finance September 2025 intake. Today marks the official beginning of your journey to the next best you. And we are really excited to have you here as part of IE Business School. So before we begin, please give yourselves a round of applause. And now, it is my pleasure to first invite to the stage our Dean of IE Business School, Professor Lee Newman. Dean Newman will share a few words to officially begin your journey here at IE. Lee, the floor is yours.
I got to get that off the screen. I can't deal with it. So, good morning and welcome to, I think, the Masters in Finance. Now, sometimes we have some logistical issues getting the right students in the right room, so let me just check this. Do we have an AG1 MIF section here today? We have one student in that section. What's his name? Tiago. But the guy in front of you, two students, I guess. What's your name? Gil. Okay, Tiago and Gil. Dos portugueses brasileiros? No, un poco. Okay. All right. So AG1. Now, before I introduce AG2, sometimes students ask us, how do you assign us to sections? What's the formula? And we don't release the secret formula, actually, but today I decided to do it. We do it by volume of voice. Okay. So AG1, very quiet. There's only two in the class. AG2, where are you? Wow. You know what the MBA says about the MIF? It's all true, I think. They say you guys are very serious and very focused. And that's good. Hold on to that, okay? And keep that for the year. Okay, so welcome AG1 and AG2. I think some of you might be confused about which section you're in. So we'll sort that out later today, right, Denise? Because they seem quite confused. Okay, so welcome to IE Business School. Welcome to IE University. The business school is part of a university with 6 schools. Before we get started, this is a serious program, and finance is not an easy topic. I would argue you've chosen the hardest topic in business. Congratulations for that. You're brave. So we gave you a little pre-work to get yourselves ready for the year, right? Right? Yes? Did we give you pre-work? Yes. Okay, now we're moving, folks. Okay. So let me just ask you a couple of questions just to see if any of you can give us answers to a couple checks to see how you did on your pre-work. So question number 1, if I may. Here we go. If LIBOR is discontinued, how do you bootstrap a software curve? Who wants that? Anyone? Come on. Any of you know you should know the answer to that question. Anyone? No? Okay. Let's go to the next one. This one's a little easier. What's the implied probability of default from a CDS spread if recovery rates are stochastic? Oh, we got one. What do you got? Yeah. I was trained in behavior and AI, so that's a great, that answer sounds right on to me. And last one, how would you build a liquidity-adjusted CAPM for fine art as an asset class? Anyone? Going once? Is that a head scratch, or did your hand go? I thought your hand went up. No way? Okay, it's a joke, as you may know. I was just giving you a couple of hard questions, but hopefully in a couple of weeks you'll have the answer to all of them, right, faculty? Yes? Yeah? Okay. So thank you for not answering those questions. You weren't supposed to. But by the end of this program, we hope that you'll have answers to these kinds of questions and more. Finance is tough, and you have a lot of work ahead of you. But let's move on to some other things I'd like to share with you. So I'm going to give you a real assignment. It's an easier one than stochastic curves and CAPM models. Take a look around at your classmates around you, where you're sitting. Just take a look around. Don't be shy. There you go. Okay. So you are definitely looking at some people who are going to be your friends for life. Guaranteed, right? This is your network. Other programs in the business school, also you'll meet people and you'll have a network, but this is going to be your hardcore career network for the rest of your lives, and friends for the rest of your lives. I mean, I looked at my WhatsApp yesterday because I was thinking about the openings today, and I was thinking, well, who am I still in touch with? And of all the different academic programs I did in my life and other groups I've been in, the one group I stay in touch with are my business school colleagues and former classmates. So you're going to find great friends here and a great network for the rest of your life. Now, you passed assignment 1. Let's go to assignment 2. So look around a little more broadly. Go back rows. Look to the other side of the aisle, so to speak. Look around. Okay, keep looking. You're looking at some people who might be your rivals, your antagonists. There are people out there very close to you somewhere in one of the 2 sections. And I guess for your section with 2 people, it's just the 2 of you. We're going to have to work this out. But there are people around you who are going to drive you nuts. They're going to drive you crazy. They're going to make you want to pull your hair out at times. There's going to be some really frustrating moments. Why? Why frustrating moments with some of these fantastic people that we've put together in the class? Because we're bad? No, because we're different. Because we think differently. We come from different cultures. We have different working styles. And even though finance is highly quantitative, there's a whole art of the world of finance. There's different ways of thinking about things beyond math equations. So you will argue, you will have conflicts, and you will have differences in opinion, culture, and many, many things as you do that. So keep in mind that this is going to be a wonderful year of friends and also rivals and antagonists, and you need to embrace both of those things. And I'm going to share with you some thoughts on that now. So first, though, I want to mention this. This is what I want you to keep your eye on, this idea of the next best you, okay? And it comes in 3 parts. There's the career part, right? So you're here to study finance because you want to do something with finance, entrepreneurship related to finance, whatever it is, and you're going to get that for sure, okay? Some of you might be interested in sustainable finance, impact investing, other things that have, let's say, a high meaning quotient to them, and that's great, and we're going to encourage that. That's your purpose. In the middle here, though, is what we call your impact. Okay, what is that? So when I started as dean about 4.5 years ago, I met with lots of senior people on our alumni boards, various boards of IE, and I met with our senior alumni board. These are C-suite professionals. These are managing directors in banks and top firms, et cetera, et cetera. And I asked them, look, I'm starting as dean of the business school. Tell me about what you think separates the people who are the most successful, the people who you would give the label leaders in your company, your firm, from the others, okay? What do you think they said? Did they answer about LIBOR and bootstrap SOFR curves? Are those the people who they said were the leaders? No. I mean, it's not to say that knowing finance, if you're going to work in finance, is not mission critical, but it's a given, right, if you're working in finance. So they don't talk about that because they have tons of people who know finance in their companies. But what I asked them was not, what does everyone have who does reasonably well? What I asked them is, what distinguishes the people who are really successful and who become leaders by their measure? And what they said is that it's the people who have this other kinds of skills besides finance, in this case of your program, these people who are able to make big things happen in difficult workplaces sometimes. And banks and financial services firms are not the easiest places in the world. If someone told you that, forget it, okay? So they're people who make things move in difficult workplaces, facing difficult workplace situations, business challenges, and perhaps most importantly, the leaders and the most successful are the people who are able to make things happen in the face of working with difficult people, okay? Difficult people. And so let's do another quick little poll here. Raise your hand if you can think of a difficult person you've dealt with recently in your professional life or in your school, if you're coming from school. Raise your hand. This is not an easy question. No, this is a very easy question. You guys don't know anyone difficult over there in that little zone? No? You don't know anyone difficult? Raise your hand. Come on. I want his job. So it's very easy to think of people who are very difficult. Why? Because we're different, as I said before. So what these advisors of our business school said is that, look, it's these skills that you need to learn how to make things happen facing difficult situations, difficult people. And we call those moments when difficulty happens game-changing moments, okay? And we've designed your MIF and every program really in IE Business School to be a perfect storm that delivers these moments when stuff happens, okay? So what happens? I mean, you're coming from all over the world. Even though you're all interested in finance, you come from very different backgrounds, different cultures, et cetera. And what happens when we take you and we put you in teams? You don't get to pick your teams, by the way. We pick them for you. Okay, so we stick you in these teams based on our secret formulas, which I won't reveal. And we give you tough challenges, right? We give you very short deadlines. Okay, zero budget, by the way. I mean, this is school. And what happens in those situations? What do you think happens? What's going to happen next week, the week after that, when you start studying, doing projects together in these teams? What's going to happen? Friction, turbulence, a little conflict. Okay, and so that's what I want to focus my comment on for you today, and my suggestion for you today is this. You heard it from my senior alumni board, right? They said this is what distinguishes people. So you're going to learn a lot of finance, that's a given, right? And we want you to work hard at that, et cetera. But there's another type of learning, which is this kind of workplace navigation and skill type thing, right? And we want you to pay attention to that. So when these difficult moments happen in teams, you have two choices. You can do what some teams or some individuals do, and you say, yeah, we're not getting along, or I don't like what this person's doing, or whatever, but I'm just going to ignore it because, we got to get the project done. I want to get a good grade. I think that's a shame. I would strongly suggest you not be that team or that person. What I would suggest you do is you say, all right, we're having a difficult situation. We got someone micromanaging the team, or we got someone who's not listening, or we got someone who's being really stubborn, really closed-minded, et cetera. Whatever it is, we all have something. And when that happens, lean into it as a team or lean into it as a classmate of another person and say, how do we make this better? How do we learn from this? How can I learn from this? Maybe you get feedback from one of your classmates that you're a bad listener or a micromanager or this or that. How you react to that is really important, right? And that goes beyond the math and the quant and the hard skills of finance, and it gets to the leadership and management and people skills, okay? They're not soft skills. That's why I don't like to use that word. They're really hard to learn. They're hard for us to teach because most of the soft skills you learn, are actually in these moments. And it's up to you and you giving each other feedback and you being humble enough to listen to that feedback and say, maybe I am being closed-minded. Maybe I should be a better listener. Maybe I should be more open-minded, et cetera. So that's my message to you this year, is to really think hard about what you're going to get working in teams and outside of the classroom, because ultimately that will drive a huge component of your success and your leadership capabilities as professionals in finance or wherever you end up in your careers, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so let's make a little silent promise in our heads to focus on that, because you're going to get busy fast and it's going to be tough and you're going to be working with all sorts of hard finance questions like the ones I gave you this morning as a joke, but keep your eye on that ball, please. So to close, let me just share a few final things. So with respect to careers, how many of you are interested in investment banking? Okay, many of you, as expected, right? That is, like consulting and for MBA students, investment banking for you guys is very, is a very lucrative and a very, let's say, aspirational thing. But I want to encourage you while you're here, there is a lot going on in finance. I mean, you could argue that the financial services sector is being disrupted. I mean, AI, many other things, crypto, et cetera, et cetera. And there are so many opportunities out there, okay, beyond investment banking. Investment banking is great, and if that's what you're interested in, great. But there are many other things. There are things like infrastructure finance. There are parts of the world that are investing huge amounts of money in infrastructure, and they need finance professionals to do that stuff, to do project finance and infrastructure finance, real estate finance. Pedro, who you'll hear later, our head of our faculty area of finance, he and I talk all the time about how real estate finance is a big, big thing increasingly. So that's another area that's interesting. Search funds. How many of you have heard of search funds? Entrepreneurship through acquisition. It's becoming a big thing. You used to ask that question, no one would raise their hands, right? It's really interesting because you value a company that exists and you buy it and you run it. So it's kind of entrepreneurial, but there's a whole lot of finance behind it, right? So that's really interesting. It's where finance meets entrepreneurship. There's fintech. Family offices is a new big thing. There are advisory firms and single SFOs, MFOs, family offices, multiple family offices all over the world, hiring tons of people in finance and doing really cool stuff in family offices that buy and acquire and sell all sorts of different kinds of assets. So it's super interesting. So my point is just, expand your horizons. There's asset management and capital markets, there's investment banking, there's private equity, there's so many different things you could do. So explore and talk to us, stay in touch with our talent and careers department who are gonna help you manage that, okay? So last couple ideas here. So you're from all over the world, you're gonna get a sense of your profile soon. But regardless of where you're coming from in this world, Real Madrid is now your football team. And if you're coming from the United States, you can call it soccer. Okay, it took me a while to get over the soccer thing, but I call it football now. This year, I would say coffee, churros, and chocolate are going to be your best friends. Keep you going in difficult times. Madrid nightlife is going to be your worst enemy. Manage it carefully. And then last one, deadlines in the Masters in Finance are a little bit like ninjas. Okay, they're lurking out there, they're invisible, especially on weekends. And then they just pop out at you, and all of a sudden you're behind, and you have to catch up. So watch out for the ninja deadlines, because they will jump out to get you, okay, and manage them well. So thank you very much for being here. We know that you have a choice in airlines, and we're glad you've chosen to fly with us. We hope you have a fantastic journey. I'm looking forward to seeing your next best you as you evolve in this Masters in Finance program. It's going to be a great year, and congratulations for being here, and let's do it, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lee, for this introduction and for this great advice on the future of finance. Now, I'd like to welcome our Vice Dean of Finance and Business Tech Programs, Professor Manuel López Martín de Blas. He will share his vision for you and what lies ahead, all of you, for this upcoming year. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the thing, right? Good. First of all, welcome, okay, because for me, it's a special day. This is my first year as a Vice Dean of this program that we consider is one of the best programs we have. And I do consider we have best students, hopefully, okay, this year. But I don't want to talk about how the program has evolved, that we have tried to bring this program to the reality from both angles. What you're going to learn, but how you're going to employ that, how your employability is going to be. Tomorrow we have 2 sessions because I am as well the interim academic director of this program. So I will deep dive what are the changes, what are the potential that you have in this program. But today is about something different. Today is about you, and it's to follow up a little bit on what Lee said. And I want to tell you a little story about myself. I mean, I am Vice Dean, a professor since 5 years ago. Before that, I was Vice President in a Fortune 500 company, leading digital transformation. Before that, I have my own companies. Before that, I worked in consultancy for 20 years. So my life has been changed. And today, these 5 minutes I have with you is about change. It's about, I remember the survey just Lee did, that how many of you want to work in investment banking? Let's see it. There are a lot of things that are happening today. I tell you, when I finished my master's degree in economics, like 35 years ago, I never expected I would be a Vice Dean in a business school. You need to start to think if what your career path is today, what you have planned in your head when you enroll with us, is going to be the same in 11 months from now. So, at the very end, at the very beginning, welcome. You pass a strong test. We filter out among thousands of candidates, and you are the ones. And this is a responsibility for us as an institution to provide you with the best experience, but also it's a responsibility for you, because you need to give back. You need to give back to people, because not everybody has the opportunity to be here. You see this tower? Nice, right? I was born here in this city, when this city was a small village, no tourists, and now it's a multicultural capital where people like you are bringing your talent and you want to spend your time with us. So this responsibility is also with you. So welcome, but much more important is what we are expecting from you in this master. And I could describe this with words, but I think this is much better.
There are no grand celebrations here. No speeches, no bright lights. But there are great athletes. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is reserved for the chosen few, for the superstars. The truth is, greatness is for all of us. This is not about lowering expectations. It's about raising them for every last one of us. Because greatness is not in one special place. And it is not in one special person. Greatness is wherever somebody is trying to find it.
This is about find your greatness in what you are good at. Think that you might need to pivot, and to pivot is no bad. You need to adapt to change. What finance was when I was starting my career is completely different of what is today. Things like AI, fintech, real estate, diversify finance is changing the world. Probably when you're studying your degree, I don't know. How many of you finished your university degree like 3 years ago? More than 3 years ago? Less than 2 years ago? Last year? Let me tell you something. What you study is already obsolete. So in this program, what you will get is the tools to survive an environment that is changing from one day to another. You read Financial Times last year, and you read today, it's going to be different. Things that we thought would never happen, like tariff, global tariff, like commercial war, is there. Things that we never thought that people will be substituted by artificial intelligence is there. So this program will help you. But for that, we need you. We need you to find yourself as well during this program. We cannot work miracles. We'll try our best, but it's a two-way dialogue. It's a two-way relationship. I normally say, and it's difficult to explain this into English, but I will try. So in Spanish, we differentiate when you are in a place or you are part of a place. So you can stay here for 11 months. You warm up, you sit, you go to the lectures, you disconnect, but still you focus into the professor. You don't develop relations, you don't develop network, you don't contact professors, you don't work hard to find a job. Fine. But you can be part of this institution. So you can develop your network, you can meet a lot of people, you can make a lot of relations, and you can make an impact. This is what we expect from you, that you will make an impact. But for that, we need you to change mindset. Doing things in the same way. I remember I am hard biker, so I love motorbiking. I used to do racing track, etc. Not any longer because I'm married. And normally I try not to make the same mistake because I crash all the time. This is something that you need to learn. If you are crashing on something, try a different approach. Don't try to use the same tools to solve the same problem all the time. Change it. So how we are going to do, or how is my experience of doing this? First, you need to analyze who you are. I don't know. You. What is your name? Where are you from? You are the son of Daniel Lacalle, the economist? Congratulations, I'm happy you are on board. Who are you? What do you think are your gaps? Or your best? My gaps?
Yes. I think I could do better speaking Spanish, and I think I can sometimes be overconfident.
Okay. Who are you? Yeah, this is expectation, right? I'm overconfident. I know about everything. You are? The next to Daniel. Yes. Sorry. Was not prepared.
Thought you were pointing the person
No,
behind me.
This time was you.
I'm Maria,
Where are you from?
Poland.
Where are you at? What are your gaps? What do you think you are good or you are bad at?
I think I'm good at making connections and turning my ideas into action to make impact.
That's really good. So the first thing, as these two colleagues, Maria and Daniel, just share with you, is you need to know yourself. That's the first thing. And it's an important task that you have, because you have a perception. At the university, you have certain aura, or certain network, or you will consider the funny guy, the smartest guy, etc., etc. But now is the time just to get a blank page of paper and just see, this is who I am really. This is what I need to improve. Understand it, and really take it seriously. The worst thing that you can do is not to evolve with this program. Just if in 11 months from now, you are at my office and I ask you the same questions to Daniel and Maria, hey, have you changed? No, it's the same. We have done something wrong. But not only us, also you. Because you don't take the time or you don't take the effort really to change. Important, if you see that something doesn't work, change it. Period. If you need to take actions, don't procrastinate. I mean, you will have this tendency where you have 5 assignments the same day. I cannot do it. Professor, can we change? No, we don't change it. Because you need to take actions. Because real world, and this year for you, is going to be a boot camp. This is a comfort zone. So the competition that you have in class, the learning that you have in class, the friction that you have in class is only a microscopic portion of what real life is. So use it for your training. Important, lead. Lee mentioned this, leading. And there are different types of leaders. Leading by examples, you work hard like anybody else, or much better, you bring everybody together, and you bring your teams and your people, your directs, to the next level. This is what is expected from you as well. So we need to move from the personal, or we should, even in finance. Because finance, the movies that you have watched, you know, The Big Short, all that stuff, they are that, movies. In reality, you go to a corporate banking, or you go to an investment bank, etc. And if you don't deal with people, and you don't build connections, and you want to play a maverick role, you will not last. I tell you, you will not last. So try to move from this to this. Think about the people, as Lee mentioned, around you. Your grades are going to be important. Yes, there are some Nomura, JP Morgan, you have honors on everything. Fine. But also you need to build a reputation with the people around you. People that will love to work with you, that maybe in the future will recommend you if things go south for you. So build those connections, make friends. Don't worry about that. We are going to train you. But not only in diversified finance, not only in fixed asset markets, not only in this, and that. We are going to train you on a way that you will be the generation that need to move and to lead change with all of us. I finish here. I will see you, AU1, AU2 tomorrow to explain more in detail. But I want just to finish with, find your greatness in what you are good at. Oh, I was thinking about investment banking. Now I would love to be a CFO. Do it. Life is short. It's the only thing that we cannot get over. So you can lose a fortune. I have lost fortunes in the stock markets, and I could get over. But time, the conversation you have yesterday, you will not recover that conversation today. So use your time wisely. So thank you very much for everything. Welcome. and a real pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. And now, I'd like to formally introduce myself, something that I haven't done so far. I'm Denise Torco. I'm the Executive Director of Business Masters here at IE. And me and my team will have the privilege of accompanying you throughout this program. But before we delve any further into the upcoming conversations, both Lee and Manuel have been talking about getting to know you and you amongst you, right? So let's talk a little bit about you and your class profile, right? Well, this year's program is made up of an outstanding group of 95 students, right? You represent 37 nationalities. That is a truly global classroom right here in Madrid. And when we look at the nationalities, as you can see, from Austria to Uruguay, from Canada to Morocco, you will be bringing perspectives from literally every corner of the world. And this, combined with the 130 nationalities that is represented on our campus here at IE, you truly are stepping into a truly international ecosystem. More than half of you come from across Europe, with Spain making up almost 20% of your classroom. However, we also welcome a strong representation from South America, North America, Asia Pacific, and Africa and the Middle East. And as Lee and Manuel have been mentioning how global finance is, I think you can also see it reflected in your cohort. When we look at your age and experience, we can see that you are a dynamic mix, right? With an average age of 23 and around 2 years of professional experience, which means that you are young, you're ambitious, and you're ready to take on the finance world. When we look at your experience before making your way here at IE, we see that you bring experience from top organizations like JP Morgan, EY, Deloitte, BlackRock, McKinsey, Bloomberg, amongst others, and many more. So you're not just students, you are future leaders of your sector. And as we take a closer look in it, we actually see that banking and financial services make up the largest sector, right, at a rate of 35% of you, followed by consulting, auditing, education, and real estate, right? This is a sector that actually has come up in Lee's and Manuel's talk as well. This diversity of sectors, we are confident that will be enriching your discussions inside and outside the classroom. When we take a look at your academic background, you also come from some of the most prestigious institutions worldwide. So we see names like Bocconi, St. Gallen, ESSEC, Arizona State, Universidad Católica Portuguesa, and many more, which means that you already bring academic excellence here with you into the classroom here at IE. And if you're wondering what you have studied, well, 42% of you studied business, followed by 30% of you that studied econ, and around 50% is engineering, which actually creates an excellent mix, right, that we are always looking to find in a classroom of analytical and strategical mindsets. And together, we are confident that you will be pushing each other to grow. So as you can see, you're in very good company. This is your new network, your new team, and your new family for the months ahead. And now, to give you an academic perspective and a warm welcome from our finance department, please join me in welcoming Professor Pedro Ojete, Chair of the IE Finance Department. Pedro, the floor is yours.
Okay, so welcome everybody to IE. I'm the head of the finance department. I studied here my undergrad in economics and law. Then I moved to Chicago. I did my PhD there. Then I was faculty in the US. I lived in the US for nearly 15, 16 years. So in many ways, I became American. Then I came here. Okay, I'm going to be teaching you economics. We start tomorrow. Okay, so be ready. And then they asked me to give you. Okay. So first I want to say something important. This is a very young school compared with some of the schools where you are coming from. This is an ambitious school. If you see, it's among the very few schools in the world with a vertical campus. You are now in a vertical campus. In vertical campus, things go up. And that's where we want your career to go. Okay? Keep in mind that this industry is a tough industry. Many times it's up or out. Okay? So we want that you take the program seriously. And we have high hopes for you. We have an incredible panel today with a very successful person who was here, two people here, okay, were here a few years ago, now they are here, and this is what we are expecting from you, okay? This panel is gonna discuss what is probably one of the most important topics these days. This is a topic that has a lot of implications, okay? And it's basically artificial intelligence. And they asked me to discuss, and I say, I'm going to do facts. I'm a data guy, I'm academic. What I do in my day-to-day is I teach, I do research, and do research is mostly study data questions related to financial markets, especially in real estate finance is when is my main area of expertise. But if you see now, artificial intelligence is affecting many questions. Okay? And these are important questions. How is artificial intelligence going to affect the economy? How is it going to affect companies? How is it affecting sectors? The slides move up a bit. Something important you're going to notice when you do presentations is that you prepare the presentation in a format, you present somewhere else, and the format changes. So this is basically risk. And get used to it. Because you see, you see here 2 dots, I didn't put the 2 dots there. But when I presented today, they are here. Okay, and this is basically one of the most important things in finance. Finance is about risk. It's about uncertainty. Okay, and this is important. And then what I want to show you is some facts of how artificial intelligence is affecting. I'm going to be building on a report in a conference I was this summer. So academics, we gathered together during the summer and we discussed the important topics, and artificial intelligence is a very important topic. And this summer, with Leon Gambacorta, that is the head of the artificial intelligence unit of the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, we went to a conference in Barcelona. And they presented a report. I tell you, all the slides, I don't know why there are no space, but the content is there. Okay? And I'm going to show you data that we analyzed there, and a disclaimer. I use ChatGPT for this. Something that I think makes IE very special is that this school has embraced artificial intelligence. You see, some other schools are discussing, should we forbid artificial intelligence in the exams on the others? No. Because in real life, you're going to have artificial intelligence available. You should use it. I tell you, I did the slides with artificial intelligence. I went much faster, it's much better with it. And this school is taking it very seriously. Okay, and this is something that makes us, I think, very competitive, okay, artificial intelligence. And I'm going to be building on this report, and I tell you, if you want to go deep on these topics, read the report because it's very good. So I think the first thing to notice is that artificial intelligence is a new technology, it's a new transformation, and if you see the rate of adoption, something very interesting is that this goes much faster than kind of other adoptions. Think, for example, the internet. It changed the world, the internet, okay? You can think of smartphones, electric power, many things, but you see the adoption is going very fast. And this is important because when something goes very fast, it means that the changes are going to happen very fast. And why is it going so fast? Well, because the cost of adoption is cheap. This is telling you the cost of the technology, and NVIDIA, that now is the leading company in the world, they reported this past week. Okay, if you see the numbers they reported, this is telling you the inertia is incredible on this sector. And companies like NVIDIA that is competing with AMD, you have the Chinese investing as crazy in artificial intelligence, this is lowering the cost. And when the cost goes down and something has a potential, you see many more investments. And this is what's happening. So the rate of progress of the technology is only going to accelerate. Okay, and I think that's an important fact to keep in mind. The other fact is that this is having heterogeneous impact across sectors. But finance is among the sectors more intensive in the use of the technology. So these you have different sectors in the economy, and you can see here, if you start third by the bottom, financial services. Why? Because artificial intelligence is intensive in data. Finance is intensive in data. Okay? Also, finance is a very entrepreneurial, fast-moving area. Okay? So you see it's one of the areas that is being more affected by artificial intelligence, and this is going to continue. But if you read yesterday the New York Times, they have a special with investment banks about artificial intelligence. I will send you that by by Eamon. So what's the conclusions of what I'm going to show you? Is the first, this is going to be a very transformative technology, huge impact. I think overall the impact is positive, but there are going to be losers, like any technological revolution, okay? That's important. And the finance is one of the main industries. So if you see that report, it's very interesting because they went through the different verticals in finance. So see, finance is kind of the ocean. All the oceans are connected, but you have the Atlantic, the Pacific, you have many oceans. So you see here, you have financial intermediation, insurance, asset management, payments. And what is good here is that they went over the different applications. And you have the traditional analytics, machine learning, generative artificial intelligence. And where are we seeing now more impact of the technology? So for example, in financial intermediation on credit scoring. Okay? Part of giving credit, key part is analyzing the credit profile of the borrower. So we see a lot of progress there. In insurance, well, insurance is super now under stress because you have climate change that is a big risk for all the insurance industry, and the industry is going heavy on artificial intelligence to be able to do a better risk advising. Asset management, we see a lot of movement now into applying technology, things like robo-advising, making it more automatic decision-making, okay? And in payments, you see a lot on fraud detection. And the payment industry is big. Klarna is a company that's going public very soon. Okay, you should know these companies. One of the things that's very important is that, guys, you need to know what's going on. You see, the Lee Newman over there, he went to ChatGPT this morning, asked a random question. He got 3 questions. One is on LIBOR, the other is on different questions. You need to be familiar with these things. Okay, so let me give you some examples of these applications because they are very important. This is the ability to predict, okay, the credit score of different borrowers with different technologies. What do we notice now of machine learning applications? They have incredible predictive power. Okay, so if you compare here the fintech companies that are using machine learning versus other methods of predicting the credit score, is performing very well. The same we are seeing with asset pricing. Okay, so it's a technology that has potential on there. Innovation, some of them are not obvious to you. And this is one of the things I like the most that I learned in the conference. Because artificial intelligence is very good getting right the credit risk of a borrower, companies now don't need to rely on collateral. Think on buying a house. What do you need to buy a house? A down payment. The real estate industry works on credit. The real estate industry works on having down payments to pay. Then you have something very important, the loan to value. Well, this industry may change completely. Why? Because artificial intelligence may change the requirements for collateral. Why? Because we are able to understand much better each borrower. But if you read the newspaper yesterday, it seems Delta Airlines is using artificial intelligence for pricing. And they are discovering when somebody dies and they see this in the internet, they charge you higher prices. Why? Because you are inelastic, you are happy to pay more. Okay, so this idea that the need for collateral will change in financial markets, I think is very cool from this. Okay, think on now asset management. This is the share of algorithmic trading across asset classes and across geographies. Most of you come from Europe. Okay, you see huge heterogeneity between Europe and the US. Think across asset classes. You think on algorithmic trading in equities versus fixed income. And fixed income is a very large part of financial markets. So what this is telling you is the potential for disruption here is astronomical. This is what the data are telling you. And you see, all are going up. Okay, that's why I think that studying and mastering finance, we need to take very seriously the potential for artificial intelligence to change the world. Because you are going to be 1 year here, and in 1 year, when we finish here, even shorter, the world has changed, or is changing, and we need to get it right the direction. You see, life many times is get right the trend and get into the trend, okay? And I see here the trends are important, and this heterogeneity is very interesting. This is also telling you like the different parts of financial markets, how they are changing, okay? And which ones go faster, how much impact are gonna have. And then I wanted to go over this guy. I don't know if you know this guy. He's one of the most important economists, and I think he got right how this is working. Basically, this guy is called Schumpeter, and basically this is telling you, if you think on technology, and if you think how market economies work, and it's important, market economies, now many countries are going for non-market economies, and non-market economies work differently, okay? But basically, this is about change, creative destruction, and this is basically what's happening with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is just a new change on a wave of change that kind of started in the 18th century in the UK. Okay, and if you see here, these are kind of the major revolutions. We have water power, steam power, electricity, aviation, digital networks, and now we are there. What is what we learned so far, and this is what economists we do. We study the history of the data of this. What we know is that all these revolutions are usually positive. Why I ask you this? Many people now, especially in masters in finance, are very afraid of artificial intelligence. Because if you see the reports, and the panel will discuss this, there is this discussion. Are the investment banks going to hire less people this year, less entry positions, because many things you can do with artificial intelligence? Okay, and the panel will discuss these topics. But if we know the history, and when you think on labor markets, there are different forces there. Artificial intelligence is going to increase productivity. Artificial intelligence is going to create new tasks. These are positive things. Higher labor demand, higher wages. Artificial intelligence is going to displace workers. That's the constant. All these technologies displace workers. How many people you know working on travel agencies? Travel agencies disappear. The internet killed the travel agencies. Okay? So in the same way, artificial intelligence is going to be the sum of the three. What do we know? Historically, the positive dominate. You see, we have jobs. We keep having jobs. We have more jobs than before. So this means that overall in the economy, the impact of artificial intelligence, I'm going to assure this is going to be positive. But I'm sure it's going to imply big changes, and that's what the panel will discuss, especially in financial markets. Like, for example, these are positions that are exposed to automatization. It means a machine can replace you. So I think anybody whose knowledge can be replaced by a machine is at high risk. So what's the lesson from this? Study and learn to bring a value added that is different from the machine. And that's the core of our program at this moment. We have Manuel as dean. He started last year. We have an incredible team you are going to meet today. And this is kind of our rule number one. You need to get a comparative advantage, and you need to learn things that cannot be replicated by machines. Because if not, you are like all this position at risk. Okay? But this is going to open new things. Like, for example, something super interesting. These are the number of new companies providing data. This is a new business. Artificial intelligence is intensive in data. Where do you have to change your mind? Maybe you need to create these new data sources, use the new data sources. And now this is a huge business. You see here the number of alternative data vendors in finance. It's growing. Okay, so I think we need to embrace change, because change is there. And to embrace change, you see what we do in academics. This is, for example, the number of papers studying artificial intelligence is growing. Why? Because this has important transformation. I think to embrace change, this is the advice I'm going to give you. Maybe, how many of you guys, you see the photo of this guy and you know who was this guy? Okay? So everybody needs to finish the master in finance, and you see the photo of these guys and you say, oh, Charlie Munger, number 2 of Warren Buffett. And hopefully you know Warren Buffett. Okay? So you need to know this guy. And this guy, who really was the bright mind of Buffett, he became famous because, I don't know if you can read this very well, but he said, read. There is only one way to learn, read. Read all the time. You don't have to read books all the time. In fact, I'm going to recommend that you read this all the time. I think every day you should be reading. Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, you choose. You see, if you are more American-oriented, maybe you go Wall Street Journal. If you are kind of more European, Asian, maybe you do FT. The Barrons you do on the weekends. But you need to read every day. Very good news. This is free. At AI, we are investing heavily on the library. And if you go through the library, you get free all these resources. There are studies that show that if you read the financial press every day, plus you take a master, it's like if you are doing 2 masters. Okay? So I take it very seriously, this advice. I think you need to read and find your comparative advantage versus the machine. That is, you need to know how to use the machine in your own benefit. Okay? And with this, I'm going to pass to the panel. It's a very interesting panel. I think Manuel will moderate.
All right. Thank you, Professor Gete. And now, well, we did have a first look at the academic portion of the program, right? And now let's move on and hear from those who have walked this very path before you, our alumni, as well as what awaits you, right, in the world of talents and careers. So please join me in welcoming for a conversation our alumni, Maximilian Tempel, Salena Lee, Javier Tordable from our Talent and Careers Department, who will be having a lively conversation moderated by Weinstein, Manuel Lopez, who will be back on the stage right now. So give them a round of applause while they make their ways to the stage.
Sentarnos ahí. ¿Quieres me siento yo ahí? Sí, más o menos, claro, porque no sabemos distinguir. So, first of all, thank you very much for being here. Okay, I could start with your bios, just about who you are, but it's going to take like ages because they're really interesting. But if I start with you, Salena, and Javier and Maximilian, if you could define yourself, your professional trajectory in a minute, what could you say about yourself? 1 minute, not 2, not 3.
Yeah, I mean, 1 minute's not a lot of time. I think the most important thing is that it's versatile, and I think you have to see the opportunities in front of you. So I started with a career in politics. That's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to go into constitutional law, wanted to go to law school, and was headed down that path full force. And then through life events, ended up in finance, started in private equity on the infrastructure side, moved into real estate at some point, and have done a little bit of everything. Have worked in New York and London and Madrid on global deals. And yeah, so I think versatility and dynamism are probably the key points.
Thank you. Javier.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been 25 years in global markets, in banking in different places, in London, Chicago. And yeah, 5 years ago, I decided to try to help people like you guys, and I'm heading the finance department from careers perspective at IE.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Define my career in a minute is going to be tough, but I think what always interested me was financial institutions. In the investment bank that I worked for, Bank of America, I covered banks and insurers. I've always, also during my studies in economics in my undergrad, but also at IE, always had a keen passion to understand banks and insurance companies, because I think if you understand banks and insurers, you will understand very well macroeconomics, politics, amongst other things. And I think that's what's defined my career, is my interest for something.
So, just a follow-up question. I mean, why finance? There are a lot of sectors. I mean, and some of them might look more attractive. Sometimes finance look like, well, finance, you know, everything is discipline, it's a structure, it's numbers. Why did you choose finance? Especially Maximilian and Salena, why finance?
Yeah, finance applies to everything, right? So there are certain sectors in the world that no matter what you touch, if you want to do something in business, if you want to, if you want to understand the way the world works, markets are a critical part of that. There's no way to go from A to B without understanding the financial ecosystem. And so it was such a powerful force that defines our values in different societies, it defines how we move across borders, defines how we do business, that, to get deep in something that actually touches a lot of aspects of our lives was something that that really appealed to me a lot.
Thank you.
For me, finance, when I first worked at KPMG, which was maybe a little less dynamic, but when I did my internship in London at Bank of America, I was shocked and mesmerized by the dynamism of that industry. Just the energy that you feel in an investment banking office is something that I've rarely seen anywhere else. And I think it was super motivating. And that's what's kept me going until today. I just love the energy of going in Monday morning. There's a, pardon my English, shit ton to do. And just the dynamism and the teamwork, that's what I love about finance.
I'll be representing the IE perspective.
The older generation.
Correct. So basically, the way we structure finance here at IE is there's basically 3 pillars and 2 big trends that are basically not even a trend, they're fundamentals. The 3 pillars, corporate and investment banking, the art of advising, basically. You can finance, you can leverage, but is it the art of advising, how to go IPO, how to M&A? I like to see it that is a way to value your dreams, because it's a future forecasted way to do things. Also, corporate finance, which, by the way, most of you will neglect, and it's a mistake. You should not neglect it. It's the art of the economic performance and how to move forward. It's something that, the career of a CFO is something that is the basics of everything, and the language is accounting, and there's many stuff that you need to learn as a hardcore skills that you don't need to forget about those. So corporate and investment banking, then global markets, sales and trading, which again, most of the students, for whatever reason, they ignore in the beginning. You're mesmerized by investment banking and corporate finance, but you neglect the art of accessing the markets. Therefore, you need to be very proficient with all the asset classes, fixed income, commodities, currencies, digital assets. And then finally, asset management is the 3rd pillar of a big bank. The art of managing somebody else's money and return it 5x. From 5 to 7 years, which in the beginning was very much public market driven, but now is really private market driven. Therefore, these 3 pillars are the core of finance, and that's what you really need to focus on. Even when you hear sustainable finance, everything starts with finance. Even AI finance starts with finance. So these 3 pillars have to be very clear for you, because then we have all the fundamentals, which are cutting through these 3 pillars, which is basically fintech or AI. These days, not only AI, but there's also SME lending, there's revenue-based finance, there's buy now, pay later, there's the neobanks, the neo-brokers. Everything is affecting finance, so the fintech and technology has always been there. And finally, sustainable finance is the other, not a buzzword, is something that is not having the best days the last 2 years, to be honest. A lot of controversy and greenwashing issues, but it's here to stay, and you need to focus about this too. So 3 pillars, 2 trends or 2 fundamentals.
Good. I have one question especially for Maximilian and Selena. All these students, 93 students in total, they have done a big investment. So 16% are Spanish. Who are the Spanish guys here? Could you raise your hand? Big round of applause, please, because they are a species in extinction in this school, but it's good. They have done a huge investment. It's not only the tuition, it's the living cost in Madrid, it's living la vida loca in Madrid as well. That is expensive. Why they should pursue a master in finance? What are the advantages of pursuing a master in finance? Maximilian, Selena.
I can only look back as to why I did a master in finance. I think I was working in audit, so I had a good idea of accounting after 2 years at KPMG. And I decided to do a master in finance at IE because for me it was one of, or if not the broadest program that you have available. You touch on every area of finance, and as Javier said, and many others before me today, there's so much to learn. And I think this program gives you the opportunity to explore what area of finance suits you best. And I think that's why I chose IE, and what I still think makes it one of the best programs. And then within each of these fields, when I was there, and I'm sure it's still the case today, that's why the program is so successful. In each of these fields, you had real industry experts that have worked in this field, studied this field, taught in this field. And I think the breadth of knowledge that these people transmit to you, or will give you over the course of the next year, is just phenomenal. So that's why I picked IE.
Thank you.
I think, going to business school is necessary but not sufficient. Sure, you'll see some people in the industry particularly from other generations that maybe went straight from a bachelor's into a fast-paced career, but nowadays, a lot of people I would say the majority have master's degrees, and particularly at the senior ranks. the network that you get here, as generic as that sounds, and as much as you guys will hear that over and over again, these are the people that you will know throughout your career. I'm still in contact. I got married a couple of months ago. There were 3 tables of people from business school there. These are people that you will stay in touch with for a long time, and that that help your career as well. These will be your clients, your counterparties, your investors. So that part's really critical. And then thinking about IE specifically, we saw on the screen that a lot of the university ecosystem comes from these classic elite universities that have been around sometimes for hundreds of years, and there's a lot of value in that institutionality. But IE for me, business is something that is constantly evolving. There are certain industries where there are facts, and we elaborate on those. Let's say biology is an immutable truth. You maybe find advancements over time, and there are discoveries over time, but biology is biology. Markets and finance are something that are constantly evolving. 5 years ago, we weren't talking about AI, or at least not in the way that we are today. And for you to be at the forefront of an industry like that, you need to be at a university that's modern, that's progressive, that has professors that are still working, that are plugged into the industry, as opposed to more traditional research institutions where the professors are exceptionally smart and capable, but very, very academic. It's just a different field. So, IE for me was the obvious choice just because of how modern and how plugged into the industry it is relative to other universities.
Thank you. And you just introduced the elephant in the room. And I want answers from the three of you, but in 2 different perspectives. From you, Selena, and you, Maximilian, how AI is shaping your current jobs or your future position, how you see, even your sector, you're in real estate, investment banking, etc. But Javier, and this is much more difficult for you, you are the visible head that everybody will knock the door. Okay, Paloma is also here, but people will knock the door to find jobs in 11, 12 months from now. So also AI is shaping the knowledge, etc. So I would like to see these 2 perspectives, how AI is shaping your day-to-day work and how your sector is evolving. And from talent and careers is what they need to do. So who wants to start?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks to put me.
First of all, how many here would like to work for Goldman Sachs after this program? Great. Statistically, there's a statistic that came out this Monday. It's basically 0.8%. So you guys are basically 100. Only one of you will make it. JP Morgan received 600,000 applications only for 40,000 basically internships. Rate of success 0.6%. So this is the reality. By the way, last year here we had up to 3 or 4 people who went into Goldman Sachs. So that's the good news. But this is the reality of what you're facing. Number 1. Going to your previous question.
Yeah, because you gave the good news, right?
Yeah. Actually, there's a good news. There's a statistics, a survey from eFinancial Careers. You should be basically logging into eFinancial Careers every day as well. Basically asked senior investment bankers, even more senior than Selena and Max, and they asked them, how did you get into investment banking? What was the program that helped you go into investment banking? Not asset management, not another venture capital, fintech, but investment banking. Basically 30% university. From university, if you do a finance track university, you end up in investment banking and you have chances. The other 30% is a master in finance. And this is your last chance. The MBAs have very difficulty into going into investment banking. The PhDs have a very difficult way to get into investment banking. And maybe things like the CFA helps. So why do you do a MIF? Because if you're truly into investment banking, this is your last chance. And the good news is 30% of any investment banker in the world gets into investment banking, even coming from KPMG, which is a great place. But it's not direct finance stuff in the beginning. Thanks to a MIF, okay? And you're in the top world institution. So these are the good news. AI in investment banking, going to the question, we were making fun 5 years ago that investment banking as such, the only technology that they had was PowerPoint and Excel. Truly. That was the only, that was, whereas, whereas trading had algorithmic trading, whereas asset managed had robo-advisors, many other sectors had a lot of stuff when it comes to technology. Investment banking, they were still with only Excel and PowerPoint. Now it has changed dramatically. I was in a panel and I asked them, all of them, how much do you use AI on a daily basis? 30, 40%. All my presentations are AI. I use Gamma, I use ChatGPT, I use Perplexity, the best search engine. I use Gemini, everything. So I see it as a tool that you need to embrace yourself. I mean, again, I would personally not, I mean, it is the main tool that you need to integrate on yourself. Remember, AI, finance, sustainable finance are objectives. There's anything that comes to trading is severely affected. If you go to I went last week, where should I invest what I sold in crypto? Because I left crypto. Because Manuel is always making fun that I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, which I am. But I sold last week. And basically, he gave me a fantastic range of options. It was well done. It was very well done. So again, you need to integrate it on your day-to-day tool set, plus, I mean, without forgetting the core of understanding the underlying. I mean, if you're into investment banking, if you don't know discounted cash flows, leverage buyout, the language, there's no way for you to move forward. If you don't go into trading and you don't know what Black-Scholes is, you have an issue. Now you need to understand what is private markets, private credit, direct lending, all these new tools coming up. Otherwise, you have an issue. So again, there's a mix of good news and bad news and reality, and you need to basically embrace all.
With regards to AI, maybe my perspective from what I've seen in terms of much talked about and hyped revolutions over the last decade or so that I'm active in finance, there's been talk of crypto, there's been talk of blockchain in general, data, securitization, etc. And I think none of these are even 1% of how AI is going to change finance. A couple of weeks ago, someone sent me a video of someone that had some AI tool that was doing a financial model for investment banking purposes in a matter of 30 minutes, which usually takes a good analyst maybe 2-3 days. So the power of what's coming now is definitely going to revolutionize investment banking, finance, and the world. I think I'm convinced of that. And learning, as you will hear, you will have the tools and you will be AI natives, right? I'm now becoming the old guy. You know, I was proficient in Excel and PowerPoint, as Javier said, but now I'm useless. But you guys have now the time to embrace these tools and become experts in using these tools. And that's, I'm convinced that jobs will not disappear. There will still be analyst positions, but the analyst position will fundamentally change to what I was doing as an analyst. That's 100% sure. And if you don't learn how to use AI, I think you're the big disadvantage.
My role is real estate investment banking, so I'm focused on a particular sector. And for us, it's critical. You know, real estate is the largest asset class in the world. So a lot of people are concerned about, okay, when I start my job, I want to be a generalist. I don't want to focus on anything. But the reality is this is an asset class that all of us touch literally as we sit here. Your feet are all touching real estate as we speak. It's the largest asset class in the world, but it's a very granular asset class. Real estate in Madrid is a completely different story than real estate in London. If you're talking about offices versus residential, we're talking about two different things. And so understanding data is critical to our role. We've got a quants team that collects real estate transaction data from buildings, from individual buildings all over the world, and they compile this data into data sets that analyze who's buying, who's selling, who are the main investors, how are they changing their investment strategies, which funds are coming to market soon, which funds are closing, and therefore we can anticipate asset sales. Being able to think one step ahead is where finance is headed and where investment banking is headed. It used to be that, you know, if Tesla wanted to IPO, they would call their relationship bank, or they would call maybe 2 or 3 of the larger banks, or put together a club of banks or whatever, and they would say, okay, I want you to pitch for our IPO, and then you would go and you would do a nice pitch and put your presentation together. Nowadays, most of what we do in our business is reverse solicitations. I go to the client and say, hey, I have a feeling that in a year you guys are going to want to sell this. Let us be your advisor. Let us get ahead of the deal. So being able to think one step ahead is a huge opportunity for AI if you know how to use it correctly and if that's a skill set that you exercise over the next year.
Thank you. I think, Denise, we are more or less running out of time, right? Okay, so last question. I think it's going to be an easy one. We have talked about different sectors, your experience, also the impact of AI. What are the skills that will remain? So Lee just mentioned, Pedro was mentioned this as well. So we know things are going to change. There are some skills that will be important that today exist and they need to develop or at least to find those skills or to learn those traits. What do you think are those? Selena, Javier, or Maximilian, the three of you?
The two most critical ones, and I haven't changed my view on this in 15 years of working. The first one is flexibility. This is a fast-paced world. Your job tomorrow is not going to be the same as your job today. The faster that you can adapt and say, you know what, I spent a lot of time and energy learning something, that's now obsolete, I've got to move on and I've got to move forward. That's going to be critical for any industry, not just finance. And the second one is resilience. This is a difficult industry. I spent the first 4 or 5 years of my career in the office until 2, 3 in the morning every day. Sundays was a work day. I would go to the office. All of the other analysts would be there as well. And being able to have a really stressful day, have somebody yell at you because you did something wrong, be super worn out and tired because you haven't gotten any sleep, and being able to start over the next day and say, okay, fresh start. I'm going to give my best today, and I'm going to put one step in front of the other so that I can ensure that I'm making progress every single day. That resilience is critical. We said previously that this is an up or out industry, and sometimes just staying in the game is what's important.
I agree with Selena. Those two are very important. The two I would add is one is remaining and being humble. I think you will always find someone in the room that is smarter than you, that is quicker than you, that is faster than you, that is anything you want. And always challenging yourself from that humbleness, trying to learn more, to improve, to be a better person. I also include in the humbleness kind of the teamwork aspect, right? It also means trying to serve other people, help other people. I think that's one very important career trait, especially when you're a junior. And that's always helped me. I was trying, when you join an investment bank, you're the most junior person in the team. You need to accept that at the beginning you're a bit useless, that you don't know much, that you will make many mistakes. And in an industry that is very result-oriented, fast-paced, that's very dangerous for you. And if you remain humble, curious, and want to learn, that's, I think, the key to success in this industry. And the other thing that I think is critical is, and one of my first managing directors in London always said this to the juniors, if you come in on Monday morning and you hate your job, quit. There's no amount of money in the world that will make you happy if you don't actually think that what you're doing is interesting, fulfilling, you're learning, you like the people you're with, etc. Quit, do something else. There's no reason to stay. Even if you're at the best institution, everyone tells you this is great, you're making good amount of money, you're paying back your student loan, paying back your mortgage, etc. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with those qualities. I would like to stress the importance of excellence. I mean, finance powers the world, is the most impactful sector in society. Therefore, all the best want to be there, and competitiveness is so high that impact skills, soft skills, all these human qualities are important because you're going to be working 80 hours per week. So if you don't like it, you're going to hate it. If you're lucky, he said. If you're unlucky. So I would like to stress the importance of hard skills. I mean, our language is accounting. If you don't understand, if you don't read a P&L properly, If you don't analyze our basic tools, you have an issue. You cannot continue, you cannot build on this. And this is very important. Then there'll be all the tools. Of course, Excel is your number one tool, which obviously will be used with AI, but the same with PowerPoint. Storytelling, once you be able to all come up with these models, you need to, for me, storytelling is the key skill these days. But again, there's a lot of hard skills, tools that you need to focus, and many people will tell you, listen, you need to show dynamism, vitality, hard work in the interviews. Absolutely right. But at some point, they're going to ask you, walk me through a DCF. What is the WACC? What is an LBO? What's a CLO? Most likely will be 15-20% of the interview, and then they will focus on human and soft and impact skills. But at some point, you're going to get the quality, the technical question. You need to nail it, not because you're prepared, that you have to, but also because you have embraced it. So again, in these panels, we, for whatever reason, underestimate the importance of the hard skills. And this MIF is the last chance that you have to properly get these hard skills. And by the way, if you want to do a CFA at the same time, it would be the icing of the cake. In order to prove to the world with your CFA plus your MIF that you have absolutely all the skills.
Thank you. I think it has been a really interesting panel. So Selena, Javier, Maximilian, thank you very much to be here. And to the audience, just remember Max and Selena were there several years ago. As I said during my part, you can be part of this institution. And I would love to see you here in, I don't know, 5, 7 years, and just sit in and share this panel with us. So thank you very much again. I give the floor to Dennis. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel, and Selena, and Maximilian, and Javier for this interesting conversation. Well, we are almost there, right? But before we wrap up, I'd just like to take a really quick second. Guys, if you can stand up, I would like to introduce the team. So Cristina, Elena, Roberto, and Dayanara, if you can please, and give themselves a round of applause. Yes. So they will be your support team throughout the year, and of course, myself as well. And together, we are here for you every step of the way, and you will actually get to speak to them more in a minute when we move on to our cocktail. If you have any questions that you were asking before about your sections, these are the people that you can actually go and ask those questions. And if you're wondering what's next, well, the part that we've been waiting for some time now is the networking cocktail, right? So that you can actually start to get to know each other in a more, let's say, a relaxed environment. It will be taking place in -4 of this very building. But before we move on to the cocktails, please go with your section to the banner that you see in the back so that you can take your section photo before you move to the cocktail, right? After taking your group photo taken, you can actually take the elevators and go all the way to -4 for the cocktail. Remember, you do start your classes in our Velázquez building tomorrow, as Pedro also mentioned. If you have any questions about, like the building and the logistics, please find any one of our team members and ask. And we also have our email address, finance@ie.edu, that you can also reach out. We always check it, right? And with this said, congratulations again on coming to IE and joining our Masters in Finance, and welcome. Okay, so we can start with the group photos of the sections, if you will. AG1, you can go in the back and take your photo, followed by EG2.